And then also, when it comes to the exams, that you guys want about exams, I'm sure. Exams are the most important. Like, please do not lose sight of other things. I honestly feel like nursing school is also like a testimony to, do you know what to prioritize in your studies? Hello and welcome. I'm Monique, a student nurse over the age of 30, and this is where I share how I'm navigating my way through classes and clinicals. So y'all, it has been a minute. We are definitely doing a car chat, okay? Because I kind of feel like if I just like sit down and pull out the big camera and need to go edit, and you won't get a video because it's just a lot, that goes into that production. And at this point, I'm just trying to get the content to you, right? And so I know you guys are curious about a few things when it comes to nursing fundamentals. So I want to say before I even start, I have since finished fundamentals and I did make an A. I am on to my next semester coming up in 2026. And I have learned so much, you guys, so much. I mean, from lecture to lab to clinicals, all the things. And the video today is going to really be talking to what you should mentally expect when you are going into each of these things and how to prepare, right? Because we hear a lot of, oh, I made an A, and so, oh, I watched this person, or, oh, I, downloaded this PDF or whatever. While all that stuff is very important, it's also important too to have a strong mindset because your brain will be tested. Okay. So we're basically going to start off where we left off. So we left off on the first day, right? And so essentially after the first day, the ball gets to rolling. Like, honestly, if you guys have ever been on a roller coaster and you know how they tell you like buckle in and, you're like, okay, you're ready, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then the roller coaster starts and then you feel like everything coming up against you, right? That is essentially how it was for me. So it was like, it was super like suspicious at first because I was like, wait, this cannot be that. Like, where is all the work? Like, because I came from being a self-taught learner on my online prerequisites. So I was always used to, the full load on the first day that the course opened up, right? I'm already in there in discussion posts and doing little quizzes, but this is different because this is not online, this is in person. And so now you're going with the flow of humans, okay? Not just computers, and the flow with your instructor being in person. Now, some of you all have been taking your prerequisites in person, and if you do that, then that puts you in a good position. But I do think that my experience online with my prerequisites set me up for success because I'm so used to computer model learning and I'm so used to taking on large loads by myself. And so now being a part of an entire cohort and sharing, just some of the experience is actually really nice. I love them both. I wouldn't have it any other way. I do love the fact that prerequisites is online, but I also love the fact that I'm in person. Like I would not have this portion of my nursing school any other way. I would always have this portion, which is like your core nursing in person, because that is what nursing is, So anyway, well, some forms of nursing. We do have, there are nursing jobs that exist that are not patient facing, but I digress. So anyway, it was really nice. You will have different things given to you. You have some instructors who like to do group projects. You just have, some really cool ways to connect with your cohort. And one thing I can definitely say is that if you tend to be someone who's an introvert, you tend to be someone who doesn't rely on other people, I will say that try to open up a little bit because you will, find your people or find your person that you learned well with. And many times you'll be paired with someone to do like your lab skills check off and things like that. Sometimes that person will become the person that you learn well with. And that's the key. Someone that you learn well with, right? Someone you can study with if you need to, someone you can ask questions. It just depends, there are little groups within your cohort that kind of learn together, and that's fine, and you may find yourself learning alone. That might not be a bad thing either, especially if you have like a routine. So that was me. I didn't necessarily have a study group or anything like that. Now I'm not against it, and I did definitely help other students, but I'm someone who I'm very organized. I am working as well while being in school. And so I have limited time. And so, you know, for me, I love to help others. If someone needed help in something that I was excelling at, I definitely took the time out to help. And I will always do that. I mean, henceforth, I'm here with you. So that is just like my thing. But I did not have a study group. So maybe this is something that will shock you, right? I don't know. I did not have that. Do I think that having a study group would have been better? No. I made an A, and I think that they're both good. I think that if you have self-discipline and self-motivation, that you will then, you know, do well. Also, if you are okay with teaching others, what I would do is I would learn it well enough. So then if someone in my class or my cohort was having an issue, it was very easy for me to help. We all helped one another as well. So I'm grateful to be in a cohort that is very helpful, right? Sometimes cohorts are not, you know, it just depends. There are many different opinions on cohorts when it comes to the internet. But I think that one of the reasons that I have such a positive outlook on my cohort is because I am so helpful, right? And I'm just always the believer that with me, you know, as long as I have, you know, the subject matter in my mind locked in, then that's when I can then give to other people. So that's what I try to do. Like, I try to lock the information in my mind and then share how I learned that and locked it in with other people. So yeah, that's that. As far as like labs and clinicals and exams, I will say this. I think there is a lot of, you know, talk about when you go on the internet about nursing school. I'm trying to just like give you guys like a really good rounded idea of whether or not this is hard or easy, right? People say that things are hard, and things are hard, right? They are only as hard as you make them. So if you study and you really take the time out to practice your lab skills and different things like that, you are going to be just fine. Just fine. Do not be afraid of nursing fundamentals. Do not. You have this. Trust me. Now, if you are not good, excuse me, I'm outside. I'm looking at this squirrel, y'all. If you are not good at test taking, and I don't like to generalize this because sometimes you can be really good at one type of test and not another type of test, right? But nursing tests are unique because they're trying to test your knowledge as to, you know, will you be able to make the right decision to save the patient, essentially, right? To keep the patient alive. That's the primary source, the primary, you know, end all be all is keeping this patient alive, keeping them well, and keeping them in a state of constant progress, right? To as much as humanly possible. And so, you know, when you approach tests like that, that's when you start to test better. Okay. And I do think that having a particular study type, a method, is also very important. I do share that. I don't know if you all have the TikTok app. I know many people don't, but if you do, I am over there and I do share, you know, details about my study method and how I really retained information very well in that semester, right? And so I think that is the thing, is finding what works for you. You know, for me, I use YouTube videos, I use podcasts, I use different types of AI, you know, different things to help make my knowledge compilation, if you will, or, you know, compiling my book of knowledge easier for me, right, to do. So like making my flashcards or making my study guides, I would, you know, use different things to help that come along. And, you know, instead of having to go get like 5 books and different things like that, like we have books but you know, now we have so much technology where, my goodness, I don't know how you wouldn't learn. You know, honestly, because there's just so many different avenues to learn. So, like I said, I use them all. YouTube, not here on TikTok. This is YouTube. YouTube, TikTok was very helpful with like very quick things I need to know. TikTok was very helpful too, watching specialists, nurse practitioner specialists, to be very exact. Okay. There are doctors as well that are on there sharing knowledge. When it comes to the educational piece, I feel like nurse practitioners teach in a way that nurses learn. And so I learn best from them. So when they would specialize in gastroenterology or specialize in cardiology, I would then go watch them, because one of them in particular basically explain, not only the flow of blood through the heart, but why the left ventricle is so important. It will always be important, and it's always going to be the answer on certain questions, right? Because you need to know, that is essentially. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's different stuff like that it will be ingrained in your head because somebody sat there and explained it to you in a way that you understand. Okay. So I do think that social media has a way of making learning 100 times better. Okay. So when it came to Skills Lab, I was always on the lookout for people that taught the skills assignment in a way that I could follow easily. Okay. So, you have your instructors, you have, your cohort that you may practice with, but then you have to go home and you have to practice. And that's one of the things too, you got to practice. Unfortunately, some people get shy about practicing out loud in front of others. You got to do it. That's one thing about us. We were going to practice. Okay. So you have to practice those skills, because if you do not practice that, you will not be confident. And you have to be confident, guys, when you're going in front of these instructors and doing these skills. And personally, for me, I have like a little bit of actress in me, right? And so when it came to doing the Skills Lab, to me, that was the art in nursing, because you have to make this seem like a real person, especially when you're working with the mannequin. So initially, some of your Skills Labs may be on one another, like vital signs, for instance. But as you move on, most of them will probably be on your mannequin. And, I treat the mannequin like it's a real person. Like, I'm talking to the mannequin like it's a real person, because this is real. Like, I have to do this eventually in real life. And so I would, really just get into acting mode when it came to my Skills Lab checkoff. Like, yeah, let's just make this fun. Let's go through this. Let's learn the lines. Okay. That's what I did. I suggest the same method for you. Learn those lines, act them out. You're going to be acting. Okay. Even in nursing and patient care, you have to carry, a certain sense of confidence in yourself for the patient to have confidence in you, essentially. Right. And so sometimes that is putting on a face that you may not feel. Right. So emotionally you may feel one way, but then your face is probably not reflecting the way that you feel. Right. So you have to present a face of comfort and of calm and confidence, because you're at work, essentially. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like there is some acting involved when it comes to real life nursing and when it comes to school as well. So I want to say that, and then also when it comes to the exams, that you guys want about exams, I'm sure. Exams are the most important. Like, please do not lose sight of other things. I honestly feel like nursing school is also like a testimony to, do you know what to prioritize in your studies? Like, honestly. And so you'll have many things. You'll have lots of assignments. You may have group projects. You'll have like, little stuff you have to do. You have your own practice time. You have your own, exam study guide that you're making. You'll have all these things going on. On top of that, you will have clinicals. So you'll be going somewhere once a week, in addition to going to lecture, in addition to going to lab. And so you'll have different moving pieces, but you'll have to learn how to prioritize all of those assignments to make sure you come out on top on the ones that truly make the letter grade, right? And so I'll give you an example. So if you have like a project that is a simple project and is given to you, you want to make sure you kind of like talk about that with your group at first and get it out of the way. Go ahead and do the bulk of the work and get it out of the way, right? Now, for me, I happen to be someone who I'm that person that will, take on the responsibility of doing the one of the biggest parts of the work, maybe the design or, just something like that. I mean, I use some of my skill set to benefit others too, right? And so, if that's the case, like, get your mind wrapped around doing things well and doing them good. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, be good at this stuff. I've seen where sometimes, people can lack the motivation, the creativity, but, it's an easy assignment. Get it done initially, right? Do your best and move on, because the exams are going to be the thing that make that letter grade. They're going to be the thing that's truly helping you to think like a nurse. And that's why a lot of institutions only have you take the exam once, right? So you may have multiple times to take maybe a dose calculation test. Maybe you may have more than one time to pass a skills checkoff, right? But baby, that exam, that's that one time. And so that is what we want to focus on. We want to really focus on studying for that. Do not get sidetracked in the other things, right? And what that looks like is developing a method of how you're going to take in the information and then put it back out, right? How are you going to recall it later on? And so we'll get into that. This video will be all day, but there are different things that I like to use, like Anki. There are different AI software I like to use to help me to really develop my flashcards on Anki. And I'm trying to think of, for you guys, for the community, I'm trying to think of a way that I can share my flashcards, or maybe some of my notes, different things like that I've already passed and all that kind of stuff. I would like to set something up to where you can like go there, make a one-time purchase, and then see everything I have, just for that. So I'm working on that. These things, digitally speaking, take some time to really work out the specifics of how it flows, like how the linking system flows, like how you click and then you come to where you need to be and you get your PDF, right? So it's not hard, but I have to think about like strategically how I want to do that, right? So I've had a platform before. I had Patreon, but I'm like, I really would rather just have it on my website. And so I'm working on getting everything on my website, because that's where I want it to be a one-stop shop. So stay tuned. But yes, now obviously, if you guys have any specific questions that I cannot answer everything, but I can answer some things. We have to keep everything very professional. Okay. There are some things you will not know until you step into nursing school. That's just that, and there's a reason why it's not shared. So yeah, but I will say, I want to give you confidence to say that you do not need to be afraid of any part of fundamentals. Yes, that first day and that first week, you might feel like the door out is an option for you, but girl, stay put. It gets better and it gets easier. I promise. Especially in fundamentals. Once you get your mind wrapped around the exam and get your mind wrapped around like the test taking mindset, you got this. You got this. And so I'm gonna do my best while I have some time, while I have a little bit of a break, to really, help you guys in that manner and getting your mind wrapped around how to properly study and some of the methods that I've used to really stain things on my brain, right? Like I said, if you have TikTok, you guys can go over there and watch some of those short videos of things that I've shared throughout my time in fundamentals. So yes, anywho, I hope you guys are doing well. And let me know about you. Let me know if you are in fundamentals. Let me know if you're a pre-nursing student. Let me know where you are in your journey so I know how best to help you. So yeah, someone has requested a video about my binder process, because I'm a binder girl. I'm an organized girl, okay, in school. And so I like to have pretty binders, pretty covers. I make them. I do sell them. They've been on sale. They're always linked in this description section. But yeah, so I'm thinking about how I want to do that video. Again, when it comes to editing and producing, sometimes that can stall things because I don't have time, right? So I'll try to think of a way that we can do that, and I can show you how to set up a binder and an easy way for me to be able to produce that for you guys. So yes, now with that being said, I hope you guys have a peaceful and productive rest of your day, and I will talk to you on the next upload.